66 laps. Max Verstappen is champion.
Behind the visors and roaring engines of Formula One lies a world few ever see, a space where speed meets deeply personal stories. While fans track stats and podium finishes, the true lives of these elite athletes remain mostly hidden. Beneath the glamour and precision are drivers shaped by rare medical conditions, secret talents, emotional losses, and fierce rivalries. Some make music under aliases, others race with intentionally loose seatbelts, and one even got his boss tattooed after a daring bet. These aren't just competitors, they're individuals fighting silent battles, driven by more than just victory. F1 is as much about emotional grit as it is about tire strategy. The most jaw-dropping details aren't always on the track. They're in the choices, struggles, and stories that push each driver to chase greatness at 200 miles per hour, lap after unforgettable lap. 1. Fernando Alonso's rare condition, Poland syndrome. It might sound like something out of a medical drama, but Spain's two-time world champion Fernando Alonso lives with a condition called Poland syndrome, a rare congenital disorder that affects roughly 1 in every 20,000 newborns. It typically involves the underdevelopment or complete absence of chest muscles on one side of the body, usually the right. In Alonso's case, the condition means he only has one fully developed pectoral muscle. That's right, one of the fiercest drivers in F1 history is racing with just half the upper body muscle his competitors have. Now, here's the twist. Despite what sounds like a major physical disadvantage, Alonso has never let it slow him down. At 42, he still competes at an elite level, showing younger drivers what resilience really looks like. Poland syndrome might have shaped his body differently, but it didn't shape his legacy. There's something deeply inspiring about that. While most fans are captivated by his precision on track, very few realize he's defied the odds before ever getting into a car. And that says a lot about his sheer determination, not just to drive fast, but to push past limits most would never dare. 2. Lewis Hamilton, music, fashion, and an alter ego. When someone mentions Lewis Hamilton, the mind immediately goes to his record-breaking wins, fierce duels with Rosberg or Verstappen, and of course, that iconic number 44. But Hamilton's story doesn't stop at the finish line. He's also a creative soul with a deep passion for music. So much so, he produces and writes professional-level songs under the alias XNDA. Most fans were stunned to learn that Hamilton was the mystery guest vocalist featured on Christina Aguilera's track Pipe. Even more impressive? He's worked with names like Major Lazer and teased fans with behind-the-scenes music snippets and killer guitar solos on social media. It's a whole other side of him that blends raw emotion with sonic creativity. Why the alias, though? According to Hamilton, he wanted the music to speak for itself, without being judged through the lens of his F1 fame. His schedule might be packed with travel, training, and the grueling demands of racing, but music remains a passion he's not letting go. If a post-F1 music career is in the cards, there's no doubt it would come with the same perfectionism he brings to every Grand Prix. And as for those bold outfits he sports every race weekend, that's not just for attention. He's become a front-row staple at global fashion weeks and has appeared in top-tier fashion magazines. Hamilton's got layers, and Formula One is just one of them. 3. Charles Leclerc, tragedy, promises, and the road to Ferrari. Ask anyone in Italy and they'll tell you Charles Leclerc is Ferrari's golden boy. But beneath that polished Monaco-born smile lies a history of pain, perseverance, and promises made in the shadows of loss. Leclerc's journey to F1 glory is one that's been shaped by the memory of two pivotal figures in his life: his godfather Jules Bianchi and his father Hervé Leclerc. In 2015, while Charles was rising through the junior ranks, Jules Bianchi passed away from injuries sustained during the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix. Bianchi wasn't just a godfather, he was a mentor and close companion. That loss alone could have shattered most young drivers. But Charles kept going. Then, just 2 years later, while battling for the Formula 2 title in 2017, Leclerc lost his father. It was devastating. The back-to-back emotional hits could have ended his momentum entirely, but instead they became fuel. Those moments redefined how Charles raced, from something fun and ambitious to something much more personal and emotional. He's spoken openly about how both losses made him grow up faster than most of his peers. In a sport defined by pressure, he found strength in grief. What many fans don't realize is that Leclerc kept racing that F2 weekend after his father died and won. It wasn't just about trophies, it was about keeping a promise, pushing forward even when the weight on his shoulders was unimaginable. That kind of mental toughness doesn't show up on a stopwatch, but it's what separates good drivers from great ones. The connection to Bianchi runs deeper than family ties. Jules was widely seen as the future of Ferrari before his tragic accident. Many in the paddock have noted how Leclerc seems to carry that unfinished journey with him. In a way, it feels like two careers are being lived out through one cockpit. Every time Charles puts on that red suit, it's more than a job, it's a tribute. Here's a deeply emotional twist. Just days before his father's death, Charles told him he'd secured an F1 seat for the next season. That wasn't entirely true at the time. Nothing had been signed. But shortly after, in a move that almost seemed like fate, he landed the deal with Sauber for 2018. A year later, he was donning Ferrari red. And now, with each season, Leclerc doesn't just chase titles, he carries the weight of legacy. The Scuderia isn't just a team to him, it's the fulfillment of a dream born from family, loss, and loyalty. That promise, that moment of hope he gave his father, became a reality. There's something profound in the idea that the path to the Scuderia wasn't just built on talent. It was driven by love, grief, and an unwavering desire to honor two of the most important people in his life. 4. Alex Albon and Lily Mooney, a power couple in two worlds. Most F1 relationships fly under the radar. Quiet partners in the paddock, occasional hugs on the podium. But Alex Albon flipped the script. His girlfriend, Lily Mooney, isn't just another +1. She's a pro athlete in her own right and one of the brightest stars on the LPGA Tour. A Chinese-American golfer with elite status in the world's most competitive women's golf league, Lily brings her own fan base and fashion game. She's also a social media sensation, with over 770,000 followers on Instagram and brand partnerships with giants like Nike and WeChat. She's elegant, driven, and powerful in every sense of the word. Lily's presence in Albon's life isn't just romantic, it's strategic in the best way. Both of them understand what it means to train year-round, live out of suitcases, face the scrutiny of cameras, and bounce back from setbacks. That shared lifestyle makes their bond unusually strong, and it shows. When one of them competes, the other is often watching, commenting, and cheering online or in person, blending public support with genuine care. They've appeared together not just at races or tournaments, but also at high-profile charity events and brand launches. They walk red carpets like seasoned pros, but never lose the quiet ease of two people who actually enjoy each other's company. Fans love the way they interact. There's a balance of mutual respect and playful humor that feels real. Albon once mentioned in an interview that Lily gives him perspective after tough races. Golf, much like F1, is brutally precise and mentally demanding, and having someone who understands the psychological weight of that grind can make a world of difference. On the flip side, Lily has said that watching Albon race has made her mentally sharper on the course, especially when it comes to focus under pressure. Together, they represent a rare blend of elite sport, international background, and a modern media-savvy approach to fame. Their relationship isn't built around spotlight moments. It's built on consistency, growth, and shared ambition, and they both know how to keep things grounded in a world that often spins too fast. Albon and Lily have been dating since 2019, and they're not shy about showing up together, whether it's at the paddock or at major sports events. It's a rare pairing of two high-performance athletes who support each other's careers while navigating the public eye. So next time the cameras flash on Albon, remember, there's a lot more happening off track than meets the eye. And in a sport that thrives on performance and pressure, having someone who understands that world is a game changer. 5. Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, frenemies since karting days. There are competitive rivalries, and then there are those that run bone deep. Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly might be teammates now, but their relationship is about as cold as a Montreal winter. And it didn't start in Formula One. It started at age 7. Their families were close. Ocon even let Gasly take a spin in his go-kart when they were kids, an act that sparked Gasly's lifelong love for racing. They trained, competed, and grew up side by side in the karting world. But as dreams got bigger, so did the tension. By 2010, during a race weekend in Portugal, things exploded. Gasly claims Ocon missed a turn and collided into him, a clash that turned friends into rivals. That incident wasn't just a bump on the track, it symbolized a turning point. From that day on, the friendship never really recovered. As the two progressed through junior categories, the competition became increasingly personal. There were rumors of paddock tension at Formula Renault events, and reports that they'd avoid being placed in adjoining garages whenever possible. While both tried to keep it professional on the surface, insiders knew there was lingering resentment. Gasly, known for his emotional candor, has admitted in interviews that he doesn't forget moments that shaped his career, and that Portugal crash clearly left a mark. Ocon, on the other hand, has stayed relatively quiet on the subject, offering polite but firm responses whenever the media brings it up. There's a kind of silence between them that says more than any headline ever could. When Alpine brought them together in 2023, the paddock buzzed with curiosity. Would they bury the hatchet? Would the past finally fade into the background? But it didn't. From body language during interviews to the lack of celebration when one outperforms the other, it's clear. They're professionals, not pals. Team principals hoped time would heal old wounds, but as of now, there's no bromance blooming. Their dynamic is more chess match than friendship. Calculated, distant, and laced with mutual respect, but very little warmth. In a sport where teamwork can mean the difference between a podium and a pit lane disaster, the tension adds another layer of drama to every Alpine race weekend. Fast forward to Formula One, and despite sharing the same garage at Alpine, Gasly openly admits they still don't speak much off the track. He's even said that on a personal level, there's no relationship with Esteban, and that's just fine with him. One has to wonder what's harder, racing at 200 miles per hour or sharing a garage with someone you once called a friend. 6. Lando Norris, backed by millions and riding on innovation. Lando Norris is known for his cheeky charm and impressive pace, but behind the scenes, his journey to F1 stardom was backed by someone with serious horsepower. His dad, Adam Norris. A British businessman who built a fortune from his pension company, Adam retired at just 36 with an estimated net worth of over £200 million. In 2018, he was ranked among the UK's wealthiest individuals, and he chose to invest his time and money into his son's dream. Without that backing, Lando's rise through karting and junior formulas might have looked very different. But Adam didn't just stop at supporting his son's career, he's also a visionary entrepreneur in his own right. After Lando made his F1 debut, Adam launched Pure Electric, a company producing high-performance electric scooters that quickly became a hit, especially in the F1 paddock. It's more than just a family story, it's a modern tale of tech, speed, and generational ambition wrapped into one high-octane package. What's particularly fascinating is how their relationship mixes business-minded focus with genuine father-son bonding. Adam wasn't the overbearing type so often seen in elite youth sports. He played the role of strategic supporter, letting Lando find his own path while ensuring the resources were there when it mattered. Those early karting weekends weren't just investments in racing, they were family time, full of travel, learning, and challenge. Even now, with Lando firmly established on the grid, Adam's influence continues behind the scenes. He's been spotted at key races, not for press or photo ops, but quietly observing from the sidelines, still offering advice when asked, but never stealing the spotlight. 7. The curious case of left-handed drivers. Here's something rarely discussed in F1 circles: hand dominance. Currently, every single driver on the Formula One grid is right-handed. Statistically, around 10% of the world's population is left-handed, so why is the grid so overwhelmingly righty? Well, part of it is sheer probability. With only 20 seats in F1, lefties are already facing slim odds, but they're not entirely absent from racing lore. In fact, some of the greatest motorsport legends were left-handed, like Ayrton Senna, the 3-time world champion, and iconic names in other racing leagues such as Sebastian Loeb in Rally and Valentino Rossi in MotoGP. There's also the question of how cars are engineered. Most steering setups, paddle shifters, and cockpit ergonomics are subtly optimized for right-handed drivers simply because they're the majority. That doesn't make it impossible for a left-hander. It just means they often have to adjust more during early training. Karting, where most drivers begin, also tends to use right-dominant setups, which could make it harder for left-handers to find early comfort and rhythm. Some left-handed drivers might even adapt their dominant hand early in their careers, subconsciously training themselves to suit the car rather than the other way around. There are stories in junior motorsports of lefty kids learning to write or sign autographs with their right hand just to fit in with the paddock culture. It's a subtle pressure that many may not even notice, but when lefties do break through, like Senna, they bring something unique. Their neural wiring and muscle coordination can create slightly different racing instincts, decision-making patterns, or cornering approaches. It's possible that their reaction to left-right directional changes feels more natural in certain sections of a track. So could a lefty return to the grid in the future? Absolutely. 8. Daniel Ricciardo and the tattoo bet that paid off. Daniel Ricciardo isn't just known for his overtakes and beaming smile. He's also got a serious love for tattoos, but one of his ink stories isn't even on his own skin. Back in 2019, Ricciardo had just joined Renault after leaving Red Bull. The team hadn't landed a podium finish since re-entering F1 in 2016. So Ricciardo struck a bet with then-team boss Cyril Abiteboul. If Daniel scored a podium, Cyril would get a tattoo. It sounded crazy, but in classic Ricciardo fashion, it wasn't just a gimmick. He followed through. At the 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix, Ricciardo stormed to third place, giving Renault their long-awaited return to the podium. Then, just 2 races later, he did it again. Tattoo talks buzzed through the paddock. A year later, Cyril honored the bet with a tattoo featuring Ricciardo's honey badger logo and part of the Renault emblem. What made this so iconic wasn't just the humor, it was the heart behind it. Ricciardo's infectious energy lifted the team during a tough rebuild phase, and that podium wasn't just a trophy, it was a symbol of revival. The tattoo idea spread like wildfire among F1 fans, turning into a kind of cultural moment within the sport. Ricciardo even got involved in choosing the design, wanting it to reflect his personality but also pay tribute to Cyril's role in the journey. It showed how a lighthearted challenge could evolve into a lasting gesture of respect between driver and team principal. And let's not forget how Ricciardo used moments like these to break down the intense pressure F1 drivers face. While others were cracking under the strain, Daniel was out here laughing, making bets, and then backing them up with pure performance. His sense of fun became a rallying point, even for rival fans. It wasn't just about ink. It was a moment that cemented Ricciardo's legacy at Renault, brought morale to a struggling team, and reminded everyone why he's one of the most beloved figures in the sport. Sometimes bets don't just win races, they create legends. Nellius Valtteri Bottas, ice hockey, hero and Finnish revivalist. Valtteri Bottas has always carried the image of the quiet, steady Finn, but in recent years he's been rewriting that script. When he joined Alfa Romeo after leaving Mercedes, it wasn't just about changing cars, it was about embracing a whole new identity. One of his most unexpected moves? Buying into a professional ice hockey team. Back in 2021, Bottas became a shareholder in the Lahti Pelicans, a top division team in Finland's elite hockey league, The Pelicans were struggling financially, and Bottas, an avid hockey fan, stepped in with a 10% ownership stake. It wasn't a publicity stunt, it was personal. Growing up in Finland, hockey wasn't just a sport, it was part of the cultural fabric, and Bottas had always dreamed of supporting it in some form. His involvement quickly went beyond writing a check. He started appearing at games, attending strategy sessions, and even lending his voice to team promotions. Fans noticed, and so did the players, who welcomed his presence like one of their own. Off the track, Bottas embraced Finnish humor, grew out a now iconic mullet, and leaned into a relaxed, authentic persona that contrasted sharply with his polished Mercedes days. He started engaging more with fans, especially through social media, showing off a funnier, more grounded side that hadn't always been visible under the spotlight. And let's not forget his partnership with his partner Tiffany Cromwell, a pro cyclist. Together, they've built a life that celebrates sports, nature, and balance. His support helped stabilize the team, and in doing so, Bottas became more than just a motorsport icon. He became a local hero. Whether it's rocking a mullet in the paddock or skating with the team during off-season, Bottas is all about national pride and personal reinvention, and that's the kind of storyline no amount of podiums can buy. 10. Max Verstappen and the loose seatbelt mystery. Here's a head-scratcher. Why would the reigning world champion deliberately choose not to tighten his seatbelts all the way during a race? That's exactly what Max Verstappen does, and it's not a mistake. According to former driver and commentator David Coulthard, Verstappen prefers to feel a little looser in the car. It sounds counterintuitive, especially in a sport where G-forces, violent braking, and hair trigger reactions are part of every lap. But for Max, it's about comfort and control. He claims that being a bit freer inside the cockpit actually helps his driving feel more natural. Team engineers have reportedly raised eyebrows, but Verstappen sticks to what works for him, pushing back against convention with the same confidence he shows on track. It's the kind of decision that only a driver completely in sync with his car and his instincts would even dare to make. This isn't about recklessness, it's about feel, rhythm, and trusting one's body under extreme conditions. While some view it as risky, others see it as a mark of just how in tune Max is with every inch of machinery under him. It's a reminder that perfection in F1 doesn't always follow the rulebook. Dominance isn't just about doing what's logical, it's about knowing what works, even when it sounds wild. This little quirk reveals the mindset of a champion who doesn't just chase victories, he shapes the entire race around his own rules. From rare medical conditions to music studios, and from childhood rivalries to investment deals, Formula One drivers are so much more than helmeted gladiators chasing podiums. Their lives are a blend of heartbreak and hustle, talent and tenacity, personal quirks and public triumphs. These 10 lesser-known stories offer a glimpse into the human side of F1, a side often hidden by the roar of the engines and the blur of the straightaways. And yet, it's in these quieter moments, the tattoos, the music, the promises, that true greatness is revealed. If this gave a whole new perspective on your favorite drivers, imagine what else lies behind the curtain of the world's fastest sport. Subscribe now and buckle up for even more deep dives into the wild, personal, and powerful world of Formula One. And if you want more untold stories, click here for the 20 wildest F1 moments ever. It's only just getting started.